my stream last night. The color popped up, a name I know too well, a cup of poison in my cup. AJ Lashbrook, with his lies and twisted pride, pointed his finger, but we see through his disguise. It must be true, cause AJ said so. He's the voice of reason, don't you know? A man with no credibility, shouting shadows, trying to bury me. It must be true, cause AJ said so. The truth is a river and it's bound to flow. They say he's got a record, cruelty to his name, accused of killing a dog, his girlfriend's death, what a shame. But now he's screaming louder, pointing fingers, spitting lies, projecting his own guilt beneath his hollow cries. It must be true, cause AJ said so. He's the judge, the jury, the whole damn show. A man with no credibility, desperate for purpose in a world he'll never see. It must be true, cause AJ said so. The truth has a voice and I'll let it grow. Let the trolls rage and the cowards shout. Let them spin their stories of fear and doubt. But the truth will cut through like a sword in the dark, and AJ's lies will crumble like a house of cards. It must be true, cause AJ said so. He's the hero in his twisted show. A man with no credibility, trying to paint his guilt on me. It must be true, cause AJ said so. The truth is a storm and it's set to blow. So here's to the ones who stand in the light, who won't be cowed by shadows of the night. It must be true, cause AJ said so. I think not, let the whole world know.
Did you know Justin got bummed by Matthew when he stayed in Brighton?
Welcome back to Taylor's Kangaroo Court. Today, we put the notorious stalker AJ Lashbrook in the dock. The man who hides behind YouTube handles like Lucifer and Unlisted. The charge? Stalking and harassment. The evidence? A video filmed outside the home of his victim, Dwight Jones. When confronted, the victim himself declared, "This has now been forwarded to police. Expect that rat-a-tat-tat on your door, little boy." This court recognizes a pattern. Lashbrook has stalked, he has harassed, he has intimidated. Online aliases can't hide the truth. The behavior has escalated from trolling on a screen to standing outside people's houses with a camera. That is not banner. That is a crime. The verdict? Guilty of stalking. The sentence? To be reported, investigated, and judged under real law. Not just here in Kangaroo Court. This is Taylor's Kangaroo Court. Case closed.
AJ Lashbrook's Projections, a case study in perversion and deflection. When examining online harassment and trolling, a key psychological dynamic often comes to the surface: projection. Projection occurs when an individual attributes their own unacceptable feelings, desires, or impulses to another person, deflecting scrutiny away from themselves while simultaneously attacking their target. In the case of AJ Lashbrook, his comments directed towards Kaylee Einoff provide a striking example of this phenomenon. Consider Lashbrook's words. "You know Jake is not interested in you, Kaylee. Jake wants to get to your children. Luckily for your children, they are safe. They are not with you, so Jake can't get to them." These remarks on the surface appear to be accusations directed at another individual. However, if we interrogate them in the light of projection, they reveal far more about Lashbrook himself than about those he attacks. By repeatedly fixating on children in a sexual or predatory context, Lashbrook may well be externalizing his own perverse preoccupations. Rather than confronting them, he places them onto others, painting them as guilty of the very thoughts and impulses that he appears to harbor. The case of his late partner, Sabina Woods, underlines this disturbing possibility. Sabina, a vulnerable mother of 2 young children, died in Lashbrook's company and under his supervision. It has been noted that she returned home from hospital against doctor's orders, a decision taken while she was in his care. What demands examination is not only the circumstances of her tragic death but also Lashbrook's attitude towards her. By multiple accounts, he appeared less invested in Sabina herself than in her vulnerable children. The parallel between his remarks to Kaylee and his history with Sabina is hard to ignore. When Lashbrook tells Kaylee that Jake wants to get to her children, can we not in fact see the mirror turned back upon him? Was it not Lashbrook who, uninterested in his adult partner, directed his focus towards her children instead? This brings us to the central point. Lashbrook's narrative is riddled with projection. He condemns others in terms that uncannily echo his own potential preoccupations. He frames others as predators, as dangerous, as people from whom children need protection. Yet the logic of projection suggests that these are the very urges and inclinations he is trying to disown. The most chilling line from his attack on Kaylee is, "Luckily for your children, they are safe." Ironically, it is Sabina's children who are truly safe, but not because of Lashbrook. They are safe precisely because they are in the custody of their father, rather than in the sphere of Lashbrook's influence. Ultimately, Lashbrook's pattern of behavior demands closer scrutiny. His use of projection not only distorts public narratives, but also masks his own potential culpability. If we take his words at face value, we are led to believe others are the threat. If we recognize them as projection, however, the disturbing possibility emerges that Lashbrook is describing himself.
That was more than one smack, and she had my fist in front of her face when she jumped off at me. So she did actually get my fist on the end of her nose. Shit happens. Contact was made because she jumped up at it. Does that sound like a scared dog?
There's a man on the winning, AJ's his name, pointing fingers at everyone playing his shameful game. He calls them all names, says the worst he can find, but when the tables turn, he's the first to lose his mind. Oh, AJ Lashbrook, crying like a fool, dishing it out, but you can't take the ridicule. Throwing accusations, causing such a stir, but when it's about your dad, you can't handle the slur. He hides behind the screen, spreading his hate, but karma's got a way of setting things straight. You call folks monsters, tearing lives apart, but truth cuts deeper when it hits your heart. Oh, AJ Lashbrook, crying like a fool, dishing it out, but you can't take the ridicule. Throwing accusations, causing such a stir, but when it's about your dad, you can't handle the slur. He ain't happier, but you got no spine. Can't face the heat when it's your turn to whine. You built your world on lies and pain. Now it's crumbling down, you've only yourself to blame. Oh, AJ Lashbrook, crying like a fool, dishing it out, but you can't take the ridicule. Throwing accusations, causing such a stir, but when it's about your dad, you can't handle the slur. Take a look in the mirror, see what you've become. A sad little man trying to outrun your own reflection. The damage you do, AJ Lashbrook, the joke's on you.
Yeah, it's a bit like Matthew Taylor. He's not allowed children at his home.
All right, let's talk about something that will make you clutch your own furry companions a little tighter, perhaps even side-eye them suspiciously if they so much as about chasing a squirrel towards a busy road. We're diving into the curious case of AJ Lashbrook. You might know him from the internet, specifically YouTube, where people apparently go to, well, be themselves. Or perhaps you know him by his rather grand declaration as AJ of the family Lashbrook, which sounds less like a modern bloke and more like a minor character in a low-budget medieval fantasy series desperately seeking a storyline. He found himself in a spot of bother, a rather significant spot involving his Staffordshire bull terrier Chloe. And when I say bother, I mean a criminal conviction for causing unnecessary suffering to an animal. Yes, kind of bother. The incident itself, well, it wasn't exactly a quiet, contemplative stroll in the park culminating in a shared ice cream. No. This particular episode unfolded near a Cineworld in Middlesbrough, of all places, back in November 2018. Imagine you're off to see the latest superhero flick, juggling your Tango Ice Blast and a comically oversized bucket of popcorn, and then you witness performance. Eyewitnesses, those unfortunate souls, reported seeing Lashbrook pin Chloe, his then 2-year-old dog, to the ground. He allegedly used his knee to hold her down on a patch of grass, and then, the accounts state, he repeatedly punched her with a clenched fist. All this, while, and I quote from reports, screaming indiscriminately in her face. Utterly charming. The kind of street theatre no one asked for. Now, Chloe, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier at the very heart of this grim spectacle, was just a young dog, really. Only 2 years old at the time of the incident. The RSPCA, an organisation whose entire purpose is, preventing cruelty to animals, understandably stepped in. And quite rightly, they made a request to the court. They asked for Lashbrook to be banned from owning animals. They also wanted Chloe to be seized, presumably to ensure her future safety and well-being, which seems like a fairly logical step following a conviction for, let's remember, sensible, you might think, but hold on to your flat caps, because the magistrates, in their infinite wisdom, or perhaps after consulting a particularly lenient magic 8-ball, decided against it. Yes, despite the conviction, Lashbrook was allowed to keep Chloe. This whole sorry affair came to a head in 2019 when Lashbrook, who was 31 at the time of the articles, was convicted. It's worth noting he also goes by Adam Lashbrook, a name he reportedly described as a legal fiction. Right. Because when you're in court for allegedly battering your dog, the most pressing and relevant issue is clearly the philosophical status of your birth name. It adds a certain to the proceedings, doesn't it? A layer of performative eccentricity that frankly does little to distract from the rather ugly core of the story. This wasn't just a fleeting moment of poor judgment, this was a public display of sustained aggression towards a defenseless animal. And that, my friends, is where our story really begins. So, what was Lashbrook's explanation for this public outburst of canine-directed fury? According to him, it was all a terrible misunderstanding, a moment of panic, not rage. He claimed that his beloved Chloe had suddenly bolted into traffic, a heart-stopping moment for any dog owner, to be fair. His actions, he insisted, were born out of sheer terror for her safety. He wasn't being cruel, he was merely disciplining her.
Discipline with a knee and repeated punches? That's a curriculum I think most dog schools would politely decline to endorse, possibly while backing away slowly.
In court, Lashbrook painted a picture of profound dedication to his canine companion. He highlighted his 2 decades of experience as a dog owner, a track record he presumably felt should earn him some leniency. He even spoke of being haunted by a previous traumatic experience where another dog of his had tragically drowned. Chloe, he declared, was his whole life, his princess. He described her as essential for his well-being, even going so far as to claim she assisted him with undressing due to a spinal injury he suffered. A truly indispensable, multi-talented canine, apparently.
This was, in my words, a one-off stupid thing, and Chloe shouldn't be punished for actions by being taken away.
An interesting plea, considering the punishment was for towards. Then we have Lashbrook's public statements, notably in a conversation with a YouTuber named Taffy, because of course this saga has a YouTube dimension. Initially, he reportedly claimed he smacked her ass, just once. A simple disciplinary tap, perhaps. However, the narrative seemed to evolve. Later, he admitted to more than one smack on the ass, and then a rather crucial detail. His fist apparently made contact with Chloe's nose, but only because, in his telling, she jumped off at me. He also mentioned waving my fist in front of my dog's face, and contact was made because she lunged.
My dog is better looked after than most people's children.
a bold claim, especially under the circumstances. The chasm between Lashbrook's carefully curated narrative of a panicked owner delivering firm but fair discipline and the stark accounts from eyewitnesses and court reports is, shall we say, considerable. He downplayed the incident as a one-off stupid thing, a momentary lapse, yet those who saw it described him as incredibly intimidating and aggressive, repeatedly punching the dog and screaming in her face. These are not descriptions of a measured corrective tap. One version speaks of fear-driven protection, the other paints a picture of uncontrolled rage. It's rather difficult for both of these realities to occupy the same space-time continuum without one of them being, to put it mildly, a load of old cobblers. The journey through the legal system for A.J. Lashbrook was, it seems, as unconventional as his nomenclature. During the trial, he reportedly refused to cooperate fully with the RSPCA. Things got so fraught that he apparently came close to facing a contempt of court charge, which is never a good look. Adding to the courtroom drama, his own solicitor decided to abandon ship, leaving Lashbrook to fend for himself and act as his own legal representative. One can only imagine the solicitor suddenly remembering an urgent, unbreakable appointment to alphabetize their sock drawer, anything to be elsewhere. Representing oneself in court is a bold strategy, especially when the evidence includes multiple eyewitnesses describing you punching a dog. Despite the, let's call them, of his defense, the court did reach a verdict. A.J. Lashbrook was found guilty of causing unnecessary suffering to Chloe. The sentence handed down included a 12-month community order, a requirement to pay £1,000 in costs, and an £85 victim surcharge. However, in a decision that raised more than a few eyebrows and likely caused a fair bit of tea-spitting across the nation, the magistrates decided against banning him from keeping animals. Chloe, the victim of the proven suffering, was allowed to remain in his care.
You are now on the radar of the RSPCA.
Oh, good, the radar! That'll surely make Chloe feel safe. Unsurprisingly, Lashbrook had his own views on the RSPCA and the legal system that had just convicted him. He accused the RSPCA of profiteering, suggesting they weren't genuinely concerned with animal welfare. He claimed that in the 5 months following the incident, the RSPCA never once asked to see Chloe to check on her condition. He also stated he possessed a statement affirming Chloe looked fit, healthy and happy on the very day of the incident. Furthermore, he dismissed the court's apparent skepticism over video evidence he attempted to present, showcasing his dog.
Reality and what the media portray are two very different things.
Indeed, they often are, especially when reality involves punching a dog and the media accurately reports it. The court's decision to allow Lashbrook to retain ownership of Chloe despite the conviction ignited a significant public debate. Opinion was sharply divided. Some people expressed sympathy, pointing to Lashbrook's acknowledged mental health problems and his evident, if controversially expressed, attachment to Chloe, who he claimed was crucial for his well-being due to a spinal injury. Others, however, were understandably aghast. They questioned the fundamental justice of a system that would allow a convicted animal abuser to keep their victim. The central troubling question lingered. Had the legal system, in this instance, inadvertently prioritized the emotional needs of the human abuser over the safety and welfare of the animal he had harmed? This case really throws a spotlight on an incredibly difficult dilemma. How do we balance an owner's profound attachment and potential reliance on a pet, especially when factors like mental health and physical disability, as Lashbrook claimed, are involved against the absolute necessity to protect that animal from harm? Lashbrook described Chloe as his whole life, a creature that even helped him with daily tasks. Does that deep bond, however genuine it might be on his side, excuse or mitigate an act of violence? Is he really loves the dog, apart from that one time he repeatedly punched it, a sufficient defense or a sound basis for a court to return the animal to his care? It's a question that makes you want to bang your head against a very soft padded wall. From a legal standpoint, the court's decision is undoubtedly the most contentious aspect of this entire affair. Lashbrook was convicted. The RSPCA, the experts in animal welfare, explicitly requested he be banned from owning animals and that Chloe be removed. Yet, the magistrates chose a different path. Was the community order and financial penalty a sufficient deterrent? Did the outcome truly serve justice for Chloe, the silent victim who couldn't give her own testimony? Or did it inadvertently send a message that, under certain circumstances, causing unnecessary suffering to an animal might not result in the most obvious consequence, the removal of the animal from the source of that suffering? These are not comfortable questions, but they are necessary ones.
Prove what this dog means to you.
A rather nebulous instruction, isn't it? How exactly does one prove such a thing after being convicted of punching said dog in public through exemplary behaviour henceforth? Perhaps, but it places a significant burden of trust on an individual who has already demonstrably failed that trust in a violent manner. Is a stern talking to and a vague challenge to prove his affection a robust enough safeguard for Chloe's future well-being, especially when he's merely on the radar of an organisation he publicly disparages? It feels less like a guarantee and more like a hopeful wish. Ultimately, the A.J. Lashbrook case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about how our society and our legal systems value animal welfare. When does discipline, a term Lashbrook clung to, unequivocally cross the line into abuse? And when that line is crossed and proven in a court of law, what are the most appropriate and effective measures to ensure an animal's future safety? While Lashbrook was allowed to keep Chloe, with the caveat of being on the radar, the public, and indeed anyone with a modicum of concern for animal welfare, is left to wonder about the countless other Chloes out there. One can only hope that Chloe, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier at the centre of this storm, is indeed being treated like the princess Lashbrook claimed her to be, and not like a punching bag.
Did you know Justin got bummed by Matthew when he stayed in Brighton?
Shit happens. Contact was made because she jumped up at it. Does that sound like a scared dog?
Man allowed to keep dog he pinned down and punched in public. A man who pinned his dog down in broad daylight and beat her will be allowed to keep the pet. The 31-year-old, whose name on the court papers is AJ of the family Lashbrook after he changed it, pinned down his pet Staffordshire Bull Terrier near Cineworld, in Middlesbrough. The RSPCA wanted him banned from owning animals and his dog Chloe seized, after he repeatedly punched her and screamed indiscriminately in her face. But magistrates ultimately decided he could keep the 2-year-old pet he described as his whole life, who he treats like a princess. He also said the dog helps him get undressed. The 31-year-old, whose name on the court papers is AJ of the family Lashbrook after he changed it, pinned down his pet Staffordshire Bull Terrier near Cineworld, in Middlesbrough. Stuart Hayward, prosecuting, told Teesside Magistrates Court, he pinned the dog down on the grass verge using his knee and began hitting it with a clenched fist. He grabbed the dog round the neck and began to scream in its face before hitting the dog again. Eyewitnesses described him as incredibly intimidating and aggressive during the November 30th incident. AJ was convicted of causing unnecessary suffering to the dog following a trial, and returned to court on Tuesday to be sentenced. The court heard how he had refused to cooperate with the RSPCA, narrowly avoided a contempt of court charge during the trial and was even abandoned by his own solicitor. Representing himself, he told the court he had owned dogs for 20 years, with one tragically drowning in the town's Centre Square pond after running away. Haunted by the incident, he said he turned on Chloe out of fear, rather than anger, when she ran into traffic. He grabbed the dog round the neck and began to scream in its face before hitting the dog again. He said, "Chloe is my whole life. I get up on a morning because of Chloe. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't get out of bed. She is well behaved and well looked after." He added, "Chloe is treated like a princess. She's very cuddly. This was a one-off stupid thing I have done." AJ, born as Adam, ditched his birth name describing it as a legal fiction. He suffers from mental health problems, is in constant pain due to a spinal injury and needs Chloe's assistance to get undressed. Pleading to avoid his animal being seized, he said, "Chloe shouldn't be punished for my actions. To take her away would mean she was punished. I deserve to be punished, Chloe doesn't." He was given a community order and told to pay costs of £1,000 and a victim surcharge of £85. Chair of bench Peter Wilson said, "Just remember how close you came and just remember you will be on the radar of the RSPCA. Behave yourself. You told this court what your dog means to you. Prove it."
So what's the truth about you beating up your dog? About me beating up my dog? My dog's never been beaten up. She was disciplined for running out in front of 2 cars. The papers made it out to be something completely different to what it was. I beat the crap out of my dog and then send her to the groomers. Yeah, sounds like a great idea. Great one, that.
Okay.
Better looked after than most people's children.
So what did you do to your dog?
What did I do? Smacked her ass.
Just once, yeah?
No, she had more than one smack on the ass.
Just a smack, yeah?
Section 4 of the animal welfare legislation. That's why.
Just a smack, or just a smack, was it?
No, it was more than one smack. She had my fist in front of her face when she jumped off at me. So she did actually get my fist on the end of her nose. But she's...
Well, you punched her.
Mate, if you punch the dog, I made my fist in front of her face because I was angry with her. But at the end of the day, Chloe at no point was ever injured by me.
Did you hit your dog?
Quite frankly,
Did you punch your dog on this thing?
It's a simple, mate. Did you punch your dog? I can't even be in there. Did you punch your dog?
What? I waved my fist in front of my dog's face.
Right, you didn't punch your dog up?
Contact was made because she jumped up, yes.
Well, you didn't raise it in her face then, you punched it, didn't you? Come on, man.
No, I waved my fist in front of her. I was angry. Can't you listen to words?
You just said I asked you if it was a smack. I asked you if it was a smack. You could have just said yes, it was a smack.
Shit happens. Contact was made because she jumped up at it. Does that sound like a scared dog?
I'm Lucifer. Yeah.
Are you on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I do video. Well, I'm listed on Lucifer. I do videos about scammers.
Right, okay.
I chase after scammers.
You were very lucky I didn't turn up and boot your fucking door through.
No, it was more than one smack. She had my fist in front of her face when she jumped off at me. So she did actually get my fist on the end of her nose.
I'm Lucifer. Yeah.
Are you on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I do video. Well, I'm listed on Lucifer. I do videos about scammers.
Right, okay.
I chase after scammers.
You were very lucky I didn't turn up and boot your fucking door through.
The worst wounds are often invisible. They fester beneath the surface, hidden from plain sight. Mine was inflicted by A.J. Lashbrook, a man whose accusations cut deeper than any blade. His weapon, lies, vicious, calculated lies that painted me as a monster. For years I've endured the poison of his words. He's branded me with the most heinous label imaginable, a pedophile. This accusation, utterly baseless, has seeped into every corner of my life, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. My reputation, once solid, now lies in tatters. Friends have distanced themselves, their eyes clouded with suspicion. Neighbors I once greeted with a smile now avert their gaze. The trust and camaraderie I spent years building have vanished, replaced by a chilling fear. Lashbrook's cruelty knows no bounds. He seems to relish in my torment, drawing perverse pleasure from my pain, but I will not be silenced. I will not let his lies define me. This is my fight for truth, for justice, for my very soul. The accusations began subtly, whispers in the wind. Lashbrook, with a venomous tongue, started to plant seeds of doubt in the minds of those around me. He spun tales of my supposed predilections, each more outlandish than the last. He claimed I had been arrested for taking teenage boys into the woods for illicit encounters. He conveniently omitted the fact that the police, after a thorough investigation, found no evidence to support his claims. But the damage was done. The whispers grew louder, transforming into outright accusations. Lashbrook, emboldened by the lack of immediate repercussions, went further. He sent a sound clip to a local pub I frequented, a recording filled with vile insinuations that solidified the image of me as a predator. Fear became my constant companion. Every knock at the door sent shivers down my spine. Every unfamiliar car on my street ignited a wave of panic. The life I knew, the life I cherished, was gone, replaced by a terrifying new reality where I was constantly looking over my shoulder. The incident at the pub was a turning point. It was a public execution of my character, orchestrated by Lashbrook with chilling precision. I walked into the familiar warmth of the establishment only to be met with icy stares and hushed whispers. The bartender, his face a mask of disgust, refused to serve me. Regulars who once shared a laugh and a pint now avoided eye contact. The air was thick with judgment, suffocating me with its intensity. Word spread like wildfire. My reputation, already tarnished, was now irrevocably stained. I became a pariah, ostracized from the community I called home. Fear morphed into a debilitating anxiety that clung to me like a shroud. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by sleepless nights haunted by Lashbrook's accusations. My appetite vanished, my body wasting away under the constant strain. The man I once was, confident and outgoing, had been replaced by a shell of his former self. The accusations, the whispers, the fear, they have all taken their toll. My life has become a relentless cycle of trying to clear my name, only to be met with skepticism and distrust. The emotional and psychological scars run deep, a constant reminder of the pain Lashbrook has inflicted. The worst part is the uncertainty. Will I ever be free from the shadow of his lies? Will people ever see me for who I truly am, not the monster he has created in their minds? This is the devastating legacy of false accusations. They have the power to destroy lives, leaving behind a trail of shattered dreams and broken spirits. My story is not unique. It is a stark reminder of the very real consequences of defamation, a call for awareness and a plea for understanding. For as long as I have breath in my body, I will continue to fight for my truth. I will not let AJ Lashbrook win.
So I've been on Bleeding Hearts a couple of times in this past few days. Well, actually 3 times.
You've gone on there to defend yourself, haven't you? That's what you've gone there for, really.
I've gone on there to ask for evidence. People keep on making claims, but no one seems to want to put up evidence. Yesterday, it was a case of Matt Taylor was mentioned. And it was brought up that Matt Taylor and his found with indecent images, so I thought, well, I'd better go on there to make sure people get the facts right. So I went on and screen shared the letter he received from the police, so that people couldn't get it wrong.
Well, as far as I know, the incident with Matt Taylor, when he had come out and stupidly put online that, what was it, underage pictures or child pictures or something were found on my devices, right?
It was child porn, he said.
Right, well, when I asked him about that, the explanation he gave me was it wasn't on his computer, it was on a floppy disk or a CD or something, yeah, that he got car boot or some shit, I don't know. But it wasn't on his computer. That's basically what he says. And I believe that, because otherwise he'd be on a sexual register and he'd have been done for it, and he didn't get done for it. So I believe what he's saying there.
It wasn't financially in the CPS's interest to prosecute him over it. That's the reason he didn't get prosecuted. It wasn't that it was found not to be true. It was basically that it wasn't in the public interest. It was put in public funding, something that they didn't see reasonable to put it to.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough.
He hides behind the shadows, throwing stones at the light, weaving webs of stories in the middle of the night, accusing without reason, with no truth to find, hoping that his lies will stick while he stays behind. He's calling out the names, but he can't face the day, fabricating fantasies in every word he'll say. But while he's throwing dirt, his hands are bound to show. The truth is getting clearer, and soon the world will know. He's spinning tales in the dark, but the lies will never last. The truth will light the spark, and he'll be a shadow of the past. You can hide behind your games, but the truth is shining through. No matter what you claim, you know the real you. rolls its eyes. You try to shape the story, twist it as you please, but every lie you whisper only brings you to your knees. We stand here in the open, we've got nothing to hide. You can spin your tales forever, but the truth is on our side. He's spinning tales in the dark, but the lies will never last. The truth will light the spark, and he'll be a shadow of the past. You can hide behind your gaze, but the truth is shining through. No matter what you claim, we know the real you. Every desperate measure, every false attack shows the cracks in your armor, there's no turning back. You're lost in your obsession, trying to twist the flame, but we see who you are no matter what you claim. He's spinning tales in the dark, but the lies will never last. The truth will light the spark, and he'll be a shadow of the past. You can hide behind your gaze, but the truth is shining through. No matter what you claim, we know the real you. Yeah, he's spinning tales in the dark, but the light will break through. The lies you try to spark only show the real you. And soon the world will see the truth is breaking free.
I'm Lucifer. Yeah,
Are you on YouTube as well?
YouTuber AJ Lashbrook, known online as Lucifer, is at the center of a controversy. He directed a threatening message towards fellow YouTuber Convid. Lashbrook accused Convid of being a pedophile and threatened violence. This incident has shocked many in the YouTube community. It has raised serious concerns about online harassment and the legal ramifications. Lashbrook's actions have been widely condemned. It is a clear violation of YouTube's community guidelines. The incident highlights the growing problem of online harassment. It forces us to examine the balance between free expression and protecting individuals from harm. The internet is not a lawless space. Actions have consequences. Lashbrook's actions raise serious legal questions. Threats of violence are illegal. This is true both online and offline. Lashbrook's message to Convid contained a direct threat of physical harm. This could be considered criminal harassment. Law enforcement agencies are taking notice of online threats. They are increasingly pursuing charges in such cases. The legal consequences of online threats can be severe. Depending on the severity of the threat and local laws, individuals could face charges. These charges could include harassment, stalking, or making terroristic threats. Convictions can lead to fines, probation, or even imprisonment. Lashbrook's threat could result in legal action against him. The law recognizes the impact of online threats. They can cause emotional distress and fear. Victims may feel unsafe and vulnerable. They may experience anxiety and fear for their safety. The law aims to protect individuals from such harm. It holds perpetrators accountable for their actions. The internet provides a sense of anonymity. However, this does not make individuals immune to the law. Law enforcement agencies have tools and resources to track
talking in a
those who
sexual
make
manner.
online threats.
You
They
disgusting
can
little
identify
man.
individuals through IP
You've
addresses,
sicked
social media
yourself
accounts,
well and
and
truly.
other online
Oh,
footprints.
and by the way,
It is
what I've put
crucial
out
to
so
remember
far
that online
exposing Matt
actions
Taylor
have
isn't
offline
everything I've got. There's another confession.
Lashbrook's
have
online persona
screwed
adds
yourself
another layer
over.
of complexity to the situation.
Try
He
getting
calls
out of
himself
this one.
Lucifer. This is a figure often associated with evil and rebellion. This choice of alias is ironic. Lashbrook presents himself as a moral crusader. He claims to expose wrongdoing. However, his actions contradict this image. Lashbrook's threatening behavior undermines his self-proclaimed righteousness. By issuing threats and resorting to name-calling, he reveals a disconnect between his words and actions. This inconsistency raises questions about his true motives and character. Is he genuinely interested in justice, or is he using his platform for personal vendettas? The name Lucifer implies a certain level of self-awareness. It suggests an understanding of the darker aspects of human nature. Yet, Lashbrook's actions seem impulsive and reckless. This disconnect between his chosen persona and his behavior further fuels the controversy surrounding him. The irony of Lashbrook's persona highlights a broader issue. Online platforms allow individuals to craft carefully curated identities. These online personas may not always reflect their true personalities or values. The Lashbrook incident serves as a reminder to be wary of online personas. It emphasizes the importance of critical thinking and looking beyond surface-level presentations. The Lashbrook incident highlights a larger problem on platforms like YouTube. Online harassment is rampant. YouTube, with its massive user base, has become a breeding ground for cyberbullying, hate speech, and threats. The platform's efforts to combat these issues often fall short. This leaves many users feeling vulnerable and unprotected. YouTube's algorithms, designed to promote engagement, can exacerbate the problem. These algorithms often prioritize sensational content, including videos that contain drama and conflict. This can create a financial incentive for creators to engage in inflammatory behavior to gain views and subscribers. The pursuit of online fame can overshadow ethical considerations, leading to a toxic online environment. YouTube has implemented community guidelines and reporting mechanisms to address harassment. However, these measures are often insufficient. The sheer volume of content uploaded daily makes it difficult for the platform to effectively moderate and remove all violations. Additionally, the subjective nature of harassment makes it challenging to apply guidelines consistently. The Lashbrook incident underscores the need for YouTube to take more decisive action. The platform needs to prioritize user safety and implement stricter measures to combat harassment. This includes holding creators accountable for their actions, improving content moderation, and fostering a more respectful online community. Failure to do so will only further erode trust in the platform and perpetuate a culture of online toxicity.
I'm Lucifer. Yeah,
Are you on YouTube as well?
yeah, I do video. Well, I'm listed on Lucifer. I do videos about scammers.
Right.
I chase after scammers.
In the shadows of the online world, there's a man named Lashbrook, spitting poison through his words, wearing a righteous look. He calls out John Bono, claims he's preying on the weak. But the truth behind his own past makes those accusations bleak. Oh, AJ Lashbrook, casting stones from a house of glass, condemning others while hiding from your past. In the court of public judgment, you're the one who's vile, spreading lies and hiding sins behind a wicked smile. John one knows vision might be bold, his dreams might be grand, but calling him a predator, well, that we can't withstand. For Lashbrook has a history of cruelty to a friend, pinned and punched his own poor dog, the innocents he did offend. Oh, AJ Lashbrook, casting stones from a house of glass, condemning others while hiding from your past. In the court of public judgment, you're the one who's vile, spreading lies and hiding sins behind a wicked smile.
I'm Lucifer. Well, I'm listed on Lucifer. I do videos about scammers.
Projection is a weapon. You deflect your own disgrace, painting others with your flaws to mask your troubled face. But we see through the deception, the hypocrisy you wield. In the light of truth and justice, your dark heart is revealed. So let's not heed the trolls who seek to tear down with deceit, for those who judge so harshly have their own sins at their feet. AJ Lashbrook, your hypocrisy is clear for all to see. Your accusations fall apart in the face of your cruelty. Oh, AJ Lashbrook, casting stones from a house of glass, condemning others while hiding from your past. In the court of public judgment, you're the one who's vile, spreading lies and hiding sins behind a wicked smile. In rise, and justice will prevail. The voices of the innocent will always tell the tale. AJ Lashbrook, take a look at the mirror's harsh reflection. Your cruelty and your lies are your own true reflection.
I'm Lucifer. Yeah, I do video. Well, I'm listed on Lucifer. I do videos about scammers. Right, okay. I chase after scammers.
With the camera outside Dan's gate, lurking in the silence, feeding on hate. Not just a troll on a glowing screen, he's out in the world where he shouldn't be seen. And the chat said she sleeps on the floor, but how could he know what's behind her door? A shadow moves where the curtains fall, peeping Tom's eyes pressed against the wall. He's a stalker in the shadows, a peeping Tom, crossing the line where the saints don't belong. From the street to the courtroom, he follows along. A menace, a danger, the sickness is strong. Kaylee goes live, the vultures all watch, but someone out there is keeping a notch. Her private pain, her private space, invaded by a stranger's face. And he boasts, I'll turn up in court one day, not for justice, just to make her afraid. Even in halls where the gavel falls, he drags his victims through shadowed walls. He's a stalker in the shadows, a peeping Tom, crossing the line where the saints don't belong. From the street to the courtroom, he follows along. A menace, a danger, the sickness is strong. This ain't free speech, this is obsession. A twisted path, a dark confession. The law is clear, the warning's loud. A predator hiding inside the crowd. Break down, break down, break down. Peeping Tom, intimidator, danger. He's a stalker in the shadows, a peeping Tom, crossing the line where the saints don't belong. From the doorstep to the bedroom, from the street to the court, he's the threat in the silence, the crime they report. This ain't free speech, this is obsession. A twisted path, a dark confession. The law is clear, the warning's loud. A predator hiding inside the crowd. Breakdown in the silence, the crime they report. AJ Lashbrook, you've gone too far. A stalker, a peeping Tom. We know who you are.
Pomeroy, I watched the live stream that Matt did describing how him and you sexually assaulted a female who was drunk and were laughing about it.
And not only that, whilst he was in Brighton with Matthew Taylor, he went out to Brighton Pier with Matthew Taylor and told children to get naked for him. And to make things even worse for Pomeroy, a lady who had been abused by her partner turned up at Matthew Taylor's door while Pomeroy was there, and Matthew Taylor and Pomeroy sexually abused the lady.
Kaylee's never getting her children back. Kaylee abused them and abandoned them for the internet. Big up, Amy, for getting away from your deviant mother who abused you.